Well, welcome to the beach. I'm on beautiful Chesterman Beach in British Columbia. We're actually here to do a little bit of storm watching, but as you can see, the sun is gorgeous today. So I thought I'd hop out here on the beach, let you see the beautiful view behind me, and let's talk about messy friends. This was a great suggestion from a member of our community. What do you do when you have a friend, someone you really like, you really care about them, but honestly, their life is a mess? Well, today I'm going to give you 4 boundaries that you can set quietly but effectively that can help you salvage your messy friendship. This video isn't about abandoning our friends who are struggling. This is about a very specific kind of friend, someone who is messy but not in trouble. We're not talking about a friend who is maybe suffering from depression or a mental illness, maybe an addiction. We're not talking about a friend who really needs our help during a trauma. This is about someone that you've invested in, someone who means well, but does life in a really messy way. And if you have a friend who's severely suffering from more, my recommendation is always to help guide them to get professional help. But this is a friend, the friend we're talking about today is the person who, when you see their name pop up on your phone, your shoulders tense just a little. If you've got a friend like that, this video is for you. And how I'm defining messy friend today. So for me, a messy friend is someone who can never get their life quite together. It always feels like something is on fire. Same problem, different week, same outcome. Always asking for advice they generally don't take. Maybe it's chronic money stress, but they're still overspending or wanting to go out to expensive evenings. Maybe they're constantly telling the same story about how it's someone else's fault. Life has been unfair. And yes, maybe life has been unfair, but they're not willing to do anything to change it. Maybe it's the choice of people they hang out with or a person they've allowed into their life that just keeps repeating the same misery over and over like a hamster on a wheel. And they want you there to listen to their complaints. Maybe it's just an overall disorganization with their time, with their finances, with their home, with their plans. You find that you listen a lot. You care genuinely about them, but not about their mess. You just want to be friends. And honestly, that's okay. But when you find yourself leaving interactions tired, foggy, or maybe even irritable or angry, none of us like that feeling. And what that does is that starts to wear you smooth, and you find yourself spending less and less time with them and maybe jeopardizing what was a good friendship. But this messy friend isn't mean. They're not toxic. They're just a whole lot. Now, why do messy friends seem to get harder as we get older? Because maybe this is a friend who's been in your life for a long time. But let's face it, as we age, we've talked about it a dozen times on this channel, our emotional energy becomes more precious. We've already done decades of emotional labor, whether it's raising children, a family, succeeding and climbing the ladder. But now we've reached a stage of life where we're a little less tolerant of chaos. Maybe we're a little more self-aware. Maybe we understand better how stress affects our physical health and our mental well-being. What I could absorb at 35 is overwhelming at 65. So for the purposes of this video, needing that peace doesn't mean you're cold. it means you're wise, right? With age comes wisdom. Let's take advantage of that. But unfortunately, we often fall into that guilt trap. And this is something really crucial to understand, because on the one hand, we're saying, oh, she's been there for me through thick and thin. She means well. I really don't want to abandon her because, yes, she got a raw deal. And maybe she did. Now, we all feel, we all fear being seen as someone who's unkind, maybe selfish. But what we've got to keep in mind is that setting boundaries is not putting up a fence. It's not a punishment. They are protections that keep you going. And in many cases, good boundaries can keep the friendship going, because it's hard to discard a friend, especially when you've been through a lot together. And honestly, you can love someone and still limit how much access they have to your emotional bandwidth. We only have so much good stuff to give, and then we get a little crabby. So here are some gentle boundaries that actually work. They're easy to do. You can test them, see what works best for you. And that's the heart of this video. Practical, calm, and doable boundaries. Number one, limit the format of your time together. What's format of your time? Pick group settings, public activities. Make sure your plans are time-bound. Some great examples would be going to a program at the rec center, seeing a movie, going to a museum, a play, maybe a free local event or festival, a free concert, or possibly meeting up in a park, taking a walk where there's a definitive start point and an end point. Bring your dog with you. That makes the conversation a lot easier. Because public spaces naturally limit emotional dumping. That's not cruel. That's smart. Plan a place with a start time and an end time, and when there are other people around, and you'll find yourself not getting cornered. There should always be an end game. Maybe you lead with telling them you have an appointment afterwards, a hard stop. Those public spaces naturally limit emotional dumping. And that's not cruel, that's just being smart. The less you're cornered, the more you will look forward to spending time with that person. Boundary number two, stop being the advice machine. I do this myself. I think I know the answers. I want to be helpful. But advice without action becomes emotional labor, and it gets a little aggravating, especially if you're not a life coach. You're certainly not their life coach. But use gentle phrases like, I've shared my thoughts with you on this before, and honestly, I really don't have anything new to add that I think would be of any help. Or, I trust you to figure this out. You've been through this before, or you know what's going on better than I do. And, if you need to be a little firmer, say, hey, we just keep on going around in circles. I don't really have anything else to offer. Find a phrase that you can use that puts it back on them. You're listening, you're willing to listen, but okay, we've been down this road before. Maybe, understanding that listening doesn't require fixing, respecting what they're going through, even if you don't understand or it's the 20th time. Maybe you can't relate because you're just not a messy person, or honestly, you really just don't know what to do, because we've each got our own circle of players that affect what's happening in our life, and sometimes we can't relate. And tell your friend, I just can't relate. I don't know what the answer is. Have you thought about going to a counselor, getting help from someone who doesn't know you so well? The next thing is a 15-minute rule. Decide in advance how long you can mentally, physically engage with this person. This especially works well with phone calls and texts. You start the phone call with, hey, I have about 15 minutes today and I've got a hard stop and I'll need to run, but I wanted to check in and see how you were doing. It's really helpful if you reach out to them first, because then you can lead the conversation with that boundary. And understand that you don't owe unlimited access to anyone just because they're struggling. You can point them in the direction of getting help, and yes, you want to listen to them and you want to understand, but it can't be put all on you. The next boundary is release the responsibility for their choices. This is powerful. We are not in control of someone else's choice, and at some point we have to accept that sometimes our friends are attached to their chaos. Not being judgmental, just accepting it is what it is. You know, maybe you get other things from the friendship, other things that you just would never think about trading. But you can't solve their problems because you know they're going to go out and do it again. Now, sometimes you do need a little more distance from the person. Boundaries just aren't quite enough. And usually the signs of that are feeling a little bit resentful. You dread seeing them. You feel emotionally drained for hours after you spend time with them. And quite honestly, you just start avoiding them. Distance, especially when you control the distance, doesn't mean you're ending the friendship. Sometimes it means changing the dosage. And with that, you'll change the dynamic. If a medicine isn't working, you change the dosage, right? You try to figure out what will work. You know, having a messy friend attracts people who want to fix them, because messy friends can be very lovable. You know, you're not wrong for needing your peace, and you can care and be reassuring without carrying their load. It's not really yours to carry. But at this stage of our lives, how good of a friend can we be if the friendship doesn't bring us any peace, if we feel required to be a therapist every time we get together? Have you ever had a friend like this? And have you ever tried any of these boundaries? Have they helped you? Have they worked? Or is there something else that maybe you tried that worked better? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. I'll be honest, I really have never gotten involved with a messy friend, but I know some women who are pretty messy. And it's interesting to me the kind of women that seek them out. And so while we're not talking about that today, it is a good idea to make sure, if you're in a long-term friendship with a messy friend, that you don't somehow enjoy their chaos, live vicariously through their chaos, or just love trying to fix other people. You know, friendship is really valuable to us. Having that banter, having, you know, even friendly acquaintances in our lives that we can talk to and share and spend time with, even if it's just while we're doing other things that we enjoy, and they're people that we meet when we're there doing those activities. It's all about finding what's right for you. But so many women at this age are just asking themselves, why? You know, why am I letting this person get to me? And rather than give up a friendship that may give you other things, what if you could just look at the friendship differently? What if you could manage yourself and your feelings and the intensity a little differently? Well, I hope those boundaries help. Boundaries, what a great word. Take care, a little more of the beach, and I look forward to seeing you next week here on the channel, here on Chesterman Beach. Bye-bye.